Okay. I think that we really have an opportunity here because we are more connected than ever before. There's no excuse for not being able to network with other realtors or other people who are in this world of preservation, because we are available to you with just a click of a button, whether that's through email or through the website or especially through social media. I really handle a lot of the inquiries from the general public directly through my Instagram. That's my number one way that people, send stuff to me or forward inquiries to me, is through DMing and sending me a link or sending me something they're curious about or asking a question. And it makes it so easy for us to network and get you to the person that you need to talk about whatever issue you're having. Some of the issues and topics that have come up a lot lately are houses at risk. Of course, somebody sees a beautiful property, maybe it's not being marketed correctly, or they think there's maybe more of a story behind it than what the MLS listing might be seeing. And so they often reach out to me to ask me to punch it into my database and see if I have anything on this property. I do have a number of databases that I can use. One is my own private database of significant homes in Arizona. I've linked into a lot of other public records and subscription-based applications that I can use to do a quick lookup for realtors who are looking for a little bit more history. Just when you're doing your own listings too, do the background research, try to figure out who's the builder, who's the architect. On the MLS, there's no place to put in the architect's name, but you can always put it in the builder's name. And then other realtors who are interested in this, especially mid-century design, are already doing keyword searches for those types of names in the builder field. And that's a way that you can then reach more sympathetic buyers and a more sympathetic audience that you can work with to market a property. We have been doing Modern Phoenix Week for 16 years. What first started off as a very small grassroots and community-based event has exploded into a 10-day celebration of mid-century modern here in Phoenix. It all started with a home tour, and we really try to curate those tours so that they're thematic and have kind of a thread that ties the stories together, whether that's by focusing on specific neighborhoods, specific building types. We even did one year that was called the Founding Fathers of Modern Phoenix, which was like a sampler of, greatest hits. So that's really the star of the show, is the Modern Home Tour. And that's what really draws the people in. The bait that gets them into this conversation. And all week long, we have other cultural events, talks, films, workshops, opportunities to learn how to research your mid-century modern home, opportunities to meet other experts who specialize in the restoration of these homes and furnishings and accessories and things like that. So it's a real opportunity for us as a community to kind of get together and to network and to understand what wealth of resources we have here in Phoenix, and to work together to improve our city and its infrastructure and preserve the character of our mid-century neighborhoods. I think that Phoenix has made a lot of progress in the protection of commercial properties. Business owners who have taken it upon themselves to be leaders and to do restorations of buildings and properties. Not so much getting on the historic register. That's kind of the old way of doing things, is to get on a register and to protect it officially. I think here in Arizona, just because of the climate that we live in, the political climate, property owners just tend to want to take that responsibility on themselves without any sort of official paperwork to get in the way of that process of what they want to do with their properties. But I think that we've got a wealth of role models here for how to do historic preservation sensitively and to also revitalize these spaces, sometimes in ways that might be contrary to the Secretary of Interior standards. Yet I would much rather see a building being used and filled with life and filled with new purpose and filled with relevance than frozen in amber and nobody goes. So I'm really proud of some of the developments that have been made there. And we see similar things happening in residential as well. Not so many mid-century modern homes have gotten on any register lately, but who's really taking the lead on this? Condominiums and apartment buildings, like Roman Roads, for example, and the efforts that are going on with the Garden Apartment District. We're just starting to see, groups of people take an interest in protecting their collective property, which I think is fantastic. So I like to see much more of that. I'd like to see more communities working together in that direction, preserving the character of their neighborhoods and improving their property values, really celebrating what makes those communities unique. That's what makes them attractive and a draw for other like-minded people who would like to live there as well. I was born and raised in Scottsdale and lived there for the first 17 years of my life, and went off to New York City and got my fancy design education. And, would fly back here for, winter break or, an internship or whatever. Over the, course of my education and learning design history, I started to realize how significant Phoenix's architecture was. So when I finally moved back to Phoenix and made it a permanent home, then I really started to look around at my city and think, well, how do I want to live? How do I want to be part of this heritage and be connected to my city? And I was always kind of attracted to the city core. I'm a real city person, and I just like the vibrancy and the cultural amenities and things like that. So my husband and I spent a lot of time driving around the city, getting to know it as adults rather than as the children that we left the city, looking at the amenities that we appreciated as adults. And that was, mature landscaping, housing with character, wider lots, bigger lots, of course, mid-century design, and really started to document and catalog where those pockets in those neighborhoods were. And it was really through that mapping process that we, educated ourselves on where these pockets were. And after I started doing that, because I'm a big mapping person, I love maps, then I really got to dive into the historical part of it. And, when I went to design school and got my art degree, I also worked on an art history major as well for my BA. And so all that background that I had in art history and investigating the arts really prepared me to research and investigate design, and in my own backyard, right? Like who knew that I would be using my, design history, art history degree as my vocation now. It's like, I'm living the dream. I love it. So I'm a real research bug, and that's where I got into it. Some people do crossword puzzles, some people do Sudoku. I figure out the mysteries of this beautiful city that we're in. Sometimes I know it can be really discouraging when you use social media. It might feel like you're talking to a vacuum. So my best advice to you is to interact. That's why it's called social media. So share. Use social media. I had a realtor just send me a picture. She put a picture on her story the other day, and I had to stop and go back and be like, wait, did you just see that? Because I haven't seen one of those in ever. Like, never seen anything like that before, okay? It's not microphone media where you're up there just talking about your story. You need to interact with other people, and you need to be a human and engage them in their conversations, and that means listening a lot. And so, really, my best advice to you in that social media sphere is to become an active participant, or identify somebody on your team. If it's not your cup of tea, you may never grow to love it. But if you can identify somebody on your team who's willing to be the voice of your group and act on your team's behalf and be the face of the brand, that's some of the best advice I can give you, is to really get out there and to interact and to be a familiar face. When you make those comments and make those shares and all those things, they may seem like small gestures, but then that puts your face on the map and you become part of the community rather than just a passive observer. I love social media. I run my whole business on it, and it's practically paperless. It's green. It's a really great green way to reach people, and it's effective. It's really effective.
I want to also say Alison has a command of social media like no one I've ever seen. So you guys go and check her out. We'll put all of your business name and stuff on this as well, Alison. Thank you again for everything. I will be in touch.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
See ya.